A wedding day never waits for you. 1 minute you're shooting in a dark bridal suite, and the next you're outside trying to battle the midday sun. And before you've even caught your breath, the couple is entering the dimmest reception room you have ever seen. And if your flash workflow isn't rock solid, this is when you miss moments. That is when your exposure falls apart and your consistency, the thing that separates amateurs from professionals when it comes to wedding photography, completely disappears. Today, we're going to make sure that that never happens again. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Light It Right, the ultimate masterclass in wedding flash photography. And today is a big one. This is the penultimate lesson, lesson 9 in this 10-part series. Up to now, we've covered everything from the fundamentals of flash in lesson 1 to balancing your ambient light in lesson 2, essential gear in episode 3, modifiers in episode 4, problem solving and tricky lighting situations in lesson 5, color gels in lesson 6, off-camera flash in lesson 7, down to some frequently asked questions and troubleshooting in lesson number 8. And today, we're going to put all of this together. This video is where every tool, technique, strategy, and piece of kit becomes one complete workflow that you can take with you to every single wedding day. If you haven't watched the earlier lessons yet, don't panic. Finish this one off and then go back through the series. Each episode builds into what we're going to be covering in today's lesson, and you'll get so much more value once you've seen all of them. And just so you know, there's a downloadable one-page help sheet available in the description below. This will guide you through your entire workflow. So let's start exactly where every single wedding day begins, and that is prepping and packing your flash kit. This is the unglamorous bit that nobody really talks about. But honestly, it's one of the biggest reasons that professional photographers can stay consistent all day long. The night before the wedding, I'll lay everything out. Flashes, batteries, triggers, modifiers, and light stands. Literally everything that I might use across a wedding day. And I don't just check what's going in the bag, I test it too. Every flash, every trigger, and every battery without fail. I fire off every single one of my flashlights just to make sure that everything feels okay and the recycle times are still good. I make sure all of my triggers are pairing correctly, and I'll even preset the power on my flashes to roughly where I'm going to want them to be first thing in the morning. It's the same idea that we talked about during lesson 3. Preparations give you speed, and during a wedding day, speed is everything. Now let's walk through the full wedding day, start to finish, and talk about how your flash decisions change depending on what's happening around you. Bridal prep is usually one of the softer, calmer parts of the day. And in all honesty, natural light tends to look beautiful here. But sometimes the room's darker than it looks to the eye. In this situation, I'll lean heavily on the techniques that we discussed in lesson 2. This is where we balance our ambient light with just a gentle pop of flash. I'll often keep my flash on camera for this part of the day and just bounce the light off of a wall or a ceiling. And believe me, I'll be using the lowest power possible, which is just enough to lift the shadows in the image. You're not trying to create dramatic flash portraits here. You're just shaping the light in a way that still feels natural, soft, and flattering. Ceremonies can be absolute chaos when it comes to lighting. Indoors, you might be dealing with the darkest church that you've ever seen. And if you're outdoors, you might be dealing with harsh midday sun where the light is bouncing off of every shiny surface possible. This is where anticipating the light, which is something we dug into during lesson 5 of this series, becomes absolutely crucial. In the UK, wedding ceremonies indoors, it's very rare that you'll be allowed to use your flash. In this case, you're going to have to raise your ISO, but don't panic, modern cameras can handle it. You're going to have to maybe drop your shutter speed, and you're going to have to trust your lenses. If, on the odd occasion, that flash is allowed in an indoor ceremony, I'll be using it on a really, really low power, just enough to lift the shadows on the bride and groom without killing the ambience in the room. Outdoors, I just tend to use a subtle bit of fill flash just to get rid of any harsh shadows, especially those underneath the eyes or under the chin. But I will be trying to keep everything as invisible as possible. The ceremony is about respect and discretion, so your lighting should support the moment without interrupting it. When we move into portraits and group shots, things get a lot more controlled, and this is where your flash really shines. Episode 7 was all about off-camera flash, and those techniques are going to slot in perfectly for this time of the day. I love using a single off-camera flash with a softbox attached as my key light. That's because it gives me a beautiful, soft and directional light that you just can't achieve using an on-camera flash. If I need separation, especially with group shots, I'll bring in a second light as a rim light or a hair light. But I always like to keep the setup as simple as possible, because during a wedding day, things move fast. And believe me, no one's going to want to hang around while you build your lighting studio. Clean, consistent, and flattering light quickly is the ultimate goal here. And then we hit the reception. And this is the moment where every single wedding photographer all of a sudden becomes a nightclub photographer. This is where lesson 8 becomes essential. Receptions are usually dark, unpredictable, and full of fast movement. So you need a reliable lighting setup that you can trust and know works without even thinking about it. As discussed in lesson 8, I'll normally place an off-camera flash in each corner of the dance floor. That way, no matter where I stand or my couple stand, they're going to be evenly lit from the front and have a nice rim light coming from behind them. During this part of the day, I'll keep another flash in my bag close by or in my pocket so that I can quickly switch over from my wireless trigger for things like cake cutting or any candid moments that are happening. And when the party kicks off, you best believe I am right in the middle of the dance floor. I'll keep my same 4 off-camera flash setup as I use for the first dance, and I will fire away from as many different angles as I can get to. This setup gives you consistency across the entire evening, and that, believe me, is what your clients will notice. One of the biggest skills in wedding day flash photography is the ability to move quickly between different setups, because the wedding day never stops moving. The secret here is not to rush. It's all about muscle memory, familiarity, and preparation. I preset my flashes to predictable power ranges. I use quick release modifiers so that I'm not fumbling around with any Velcro. And my light stands are so lightweight, I can move them around instantly. And because I've rehearsed this workflow and done it over and over again, the same way we drilled flash fundamentals back in lesson 1, I'm never guessing. When a moment happens, I already know exactly what lighting setup I'm going to need and how to get it set up quickly. So let's tie all of this together with a real world wedding example. A recent wedding of mine started with a really dark bridal suite. So I used a soft bounce flash to keep everything perfectly lit and natural. The ceremony was indoors in a dark barn. The only real light source there was a couple of candle lights and some fairy lights. So I had to rely on the ISO performance of my camera to get me through. After the ceremony, and when the rain had finally died down, it was outside for groups and portraits. One off-camera softbox, which is fast and effective. Job done. Speeches were up next, so again I used my on-camera bounce flash to make sure that wherever I moved in the room, I was getting a nice, soft, even light on whoever I shot, whether that was the bride and groom's reactions, the guests' reactions, or the people actually speaking. Then the first dance was going off. We're talking a pitch black room, again lit with fairy lights and candles. So out comes my standard 4 light off camera setup, one in each corner of the dance floor to make sure I get even coverage wherever I stood or my bride and groom stood. And the second the party kicked off, I got myself into the middle of the dance floor amongst all of the guests, using my same 4 light setup as I did for the first dance, and fired away until my heart's content. On the day, every single lighting decision flowed naturally from the one before it. And that is the heart of a professional flash workflow. Smooth transitions, smooth preparations, and most importantly, consistent results. All right, so let's wrap up lesson 9 in the Light It Right series. Today, you have learned how to prep your flash kit properly, how to anticipate the light for every single part of the wedding day, how to move confidently and quickly between setups, and how all of the techniques from the previous 8 episodes come together to create one extremely solid flash workflow. If this video has helped you build your confidence in wedding flash photography, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment below. Don't forget to grab the downloadable help sheet from the description below. It's the perfect quick reference guide for your lighting at your next wedding. And here is today's question for you. Which part of every wedding day do you struggle lighting the most, and why? I'd love to read all of your comments and help where I can. And remember, this is the second to last episode. If you haven't watched episodes 1 through 8 yet, go back and check them out, because this video will make a lot more sense to you once you have. Next week, in lesson 10, we go beyond settings and gear and focus on the mindset that lets you walk into any lighting situation with total confidence. We're going to finish the series strong and hopefully together. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.